Well, here we are at the entrance to Quartzsite, town line. Quartzsite gets its name. This is a big volcanic area. A lot of volcanic rock around here, but mixed in with it is veins of quartz. So you get all this dark rock, and then suddenly 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet of quartz just running right through it like a ribbon. That's where it gets its name. And you might notice the camels at the bottom. Camels are all over the place here. You're going to see a lot of camels in Quartzsite. And we'll explain why the camels are here in a little bit. Here we are at one of the, probably the oldest building in town. This is the old stagecoach stop. It was probably built 1870 or so. Turn around and take a look at it. It's an adobe building. Is this building and the remains up the street of the old hotel that was here. So Quartzsite was always a transportation center. The reason it's here is what's called Tyson Wells. There was water here if you dug for it. And so this was a stop on the way to California. And I'll just take you around here and see if I can find something that I knew was here. At least it was here last year. Yep, it's still here. Let's see if we can get a picture of it. Right down there, the grave marker of Solomon Pease. Died here in 1929. Turns out he's a distant cousin of mine, who was a miner out here in his later years. And the reason these grave markers are here is because they've replaced the old wooden ones with modern concrete ones that will stand the test of time. But that's going to lead us over to the cemetery, and that's where we're going to find out about the camels. It's right here. The old wooden marker has been replaced by this, looks like a marble marker. And this is in the old section of the cemetery. And if we look around, here's his wife buried next to him. And the other burials. But then right here in the center of the whole thing is a pyramid. Pyramid with a camel. And this is where the story goes to about the camels. To find out about it, we'll have to go back in time a little, back to 1850. 1850 in the United States. What's happening? Well, we've just won the Mexican War. We've quite a big area of land that's known then as the Great American Desert. It includes California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. Also, just a year earlier, gold has been discovered in California. Big push to get to California. The only way you can do it is cross the Rocky Mountains in the 3 months of the summertime, or sail around South America in a ship to get there. The area is little explored, and there's a push on to find another route to get across the continent. So 1855, I believe, 54, 55, Franklin Pierce was elected president. And he appoints a Mississippian, Jefferson Davis, as the Secretary of War. Jefferson Davis has heard of an idea that's been bandied about of using camels to cross the Great American Desert. In 1854, he gets Congress to appropriate money. In 1855, a ship sails to the Mediterranean to buy camels. They return with 30 camels and 9 camel drivers. They're offloaded in Indianola, Texas. If you saw the video on Ashby, Texas, that's about 30 miles from Ashby, Texas. They're taken to a military base, Camp Verde in Texas, where they begin working with the animals. And in 1858, 59, I guess it is, 59, Secretary of War orders them to lay out a road that will essentially run from Tucumcari, a little village in what's now New Mexico, to a little port on the California coast called Los Angeles. 30 camels and about 60 mules set out and spend a year surveying and building the road. Camels work out well. Secretary of War decides to send them further south down to the Mexican border. This is an unexplored area. Without water, the mules suffer greatly. Some of them die, but the camels work out perfectly. So the Army is getting great reports on how the camels are working out. They return late 1860. Some go back to Texas, and about 30 are stationed in Los Angeles. However, of course, that's when the Civil War breaks out. The Texas Camels now become part of the Confederacy. Confederacy actually has no military use for the camels. They stop paying the camel drivers, and the drivers all leave, except for one. A man named Haji Ali stays on to care for the camels. He uses them for transporting civilian goods. A couple were used for the Confederate Postal Service. But the locals couldn't pronounce his name, Haji Ali, and so they gave him the name of High Jolly. And this is his burial place. So the war ends, and like all things, politics comes into it. Camels have been a success. This is a threat to the mule drivers, to the companies that supply the army with mules. They lobby Congress, no more money for camels. And, of course, the camels are associated with Jefferson Davis, who was then the president of the Confederacy. The Secretary of War, following the Civil War, orders the Camel Corps disbanded. In 1866, the camels are sold, auctioned off. High Jolly takes his savings and buys a few of the camels and heads west from Texas. He ends up here in Quartzsite, looking for a business for his camels. He uses them to transport goods to the mines, the remote mines. The business is marginal at best. He also takes on jobs as a miner who works as an Army scout. In 1880, he becomes a U.S. citizen. By then, his few remaining camels are more of an attraction for the stagecoaches coming through than anything useful. Eventually, he releases all his camels and continues to work here until his death in 1902. So what happens to the camels? Well, it turns out nobody likes camels. Camels are not easy to control. They're kind of nasty. And so lots of camels were released. And camel sightings continued in Arizona right through the early 20th century. The last credible camel sighting was in 1941. So this monument was built by the citizens in appreciation. He must have been a man well liked. It would have been here when Solomon was buried here in 1929. In 1935, the Texas Highway Department came along and took the loose stone, cemented it all together, and inserted the bronze plaque. It's now on the National Register of Historic Places and one of the most visited spots in Quartzsite. And that road they laid out, the road from Tucumcari to Los Angeles, that would later become the western portion of Route 66. So there you have it. That's why the camel is the symbol of Quartzsite.